All right, so we're back. Episode 29, one away from 30.
Yep.
Got our Week 12 NFL review. Actually, real quick, though, I did want to start with some NBA news, if you want to talk about that real quick.
I do.
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
LeBron got a 2-year extension.
No shock.
So that'll keep him in LA till 2023.
I will say one thing. I know it's not really a big surprise to anyone. Everyone kind of expects him to go back. This 2-year deal thing, when you're a superstar of his caliber, is genius because you just hold the team in your palm of your hand. Whatever you want them to do, they will do it because you could leave at any moment. But go ahead.
No, yeah, that. And then if you saw our post, pointed out that Bronny, his son, will be graduating high school that year. So he'll be draft eligible if he goes in when he's 18. So Bron could likely go wherever he gets drafted or go to a team and kind of negotiate that he gets drafted. He's got that kind of power. So that'll be interesting to play out. And then I don't know if you just saw, but they had it was John Wall and a first-round pick were traded for Russell Westbrook. So
I did see that. I think that's actually a huge win for the Wizards. You're talking about two guys on horrible contracts, or not horrible contracts, but massive contracts, a lot of money left over. I'd rather have the guy that has been playing the last 2 years as opposed to the guy who played last. Calls of John Wall. The whole thing is ridiculous because I can't believe a player who's missed 2 years actually demanded a trade. Like, are you kidding me? You haven't played basketball in 2 years, and you're over here demanding trades. Like, what are you bringing to the table, Seth? That was a curious one.
The biggest thing he's famous for is the that John Wall song when he was still in college.
Well, yeah, because he hasn't played basketball in 2 years, and you're talking about a guy that lives off his athleticism, and now he's coming off 2 brutal injuries. I didn't understand his thinking there. I don't understand why the Rockets. I mean, I guess they really just want to get Westbrook out of the way, but I don't know. I don't know why you would want to bring in John Wall.
I wonder what that means for Harden, though. Is he still staying there? Or is he going to get moved?
You have to, because John Wall is not a move to tank. And if you're getting rid of Harden, you might as well rebuild and start it all over. And it's going to be really hard to do when you have whatever ridiculous money you owe to John Wall for the next 3 years. So I have to assume they're keeping Harden, and they're like, you know what? Maybe John Wall makes you happy. Trading away his best friend to bring in a guy who hasn't played basketball in 2 years. I don't know. I don't think that fits in what James Harden wants. I think he just wants to compete and think that he has a realistic chance of, going for a title.
Yeah.
You'd have a tough time convincing me that John Wall makes them better than having Westbrook on the team. But
kind of wild that the Rockets went from like that team that was like just a player away from beating the Warriors, every few seasons to now they're like really struggling to put together a good team. It's weird.
They're in a weird spot because they went all in on a very specific system with D'Antoni, Capella, and bringing in guys that he wanted for a system. And then the coach left, and now you still have this the team that's built for the system. It's going to take a couple of years to get back to a roster that a different coach might find suitable because they don't have any centers. That's a big problem in the NBA.
Yeah, but that'll be interesting. The season starts in a couple of weeks. I think the week of Christmas. So monitor that. There'll definitely be at least 1 or 2 more big time players moves, I think. So
yeah, I won't be surprised.
See where that goes. But so today, the day of the recording of this is Wednesday. So I can't believe it's not real butter. I can't believe I just watched Wednesday afternoon NFL primetime football at 3:40 p.m. Eastern. It was weird. That they rescheduled that game. It's odd that they rescheduled that game like 3 or 4 times, but then let the Broncos play on Sunday with no quarterback. I
like the one thing I also don't get, like they pushed this game back so much, nearly a week from when it was originally played, and you ended up with pretty much a practice squad version of the Baltimore Ravens out there.
Yep.
Like I get it. They don't really have an extra week to flex and to push them back, so they're kind of in a tight spot there. But you push this game back so much. I would assume that you would want as competitive as a game as possible. You already pushed it back 3 times. I don't know if it made sense to play that game then. I would have, maybe I don't know if they could have. I don't know how they would have done, but I think it would have made more sense overall just to have found a different week to make this game happen. But you know what? They played it. It's just you waited a week to see a practice squad version of the Ravens. And,
I
yeah.
I think it's just so funny that it's like it's the most because 2020 has been such a weird year that like this game like perfectly encapsulated like it was a Wednesday afternoon football game where we had RG3 throwing passes on the Ravens to Des Bryant.
Yeah,
Like
that's what I
what?
mean. Like you
What?
push this game 3 times for that,
Yeah.
but it's just it was a weird situation. It's 2020. I get it.
And I was
I
watching
think
it here and there, so I don't know if I missed. I'm pretty sure RG3 got hurt at one point, which is why Trace McSorley came in. And if you don't know who that is, he played at Penn State. And if you don't know who he is, again, he's not very good. But he gave them a chance, you know.
it was closer than it should have been.
I mean, it was a bad. The Steelers were kind of playing like prevent, and they hit on a Hollywood Brown like deep ball, and then there was a missed tackle, and Minka really misplayed Hollywood Brown when he was running down the field, so he just walked right in for like a 60-yard touchdown. But
Not bad.
it was really more of a 2-score game. But so that was that, and then like I said, we had the Broncos played with a they played with a college quarterback who then converted to an NFL wide receiver to get on a team who was on a practice squad, who then reconverted back to quarterback to play for the Broncos this past Sunday. And he threw 9 passes, had 1 completion for 13 yards and 2 interceptions. I've never seen more interceptions than completions, but hey.
Fun fact, I actually learned that what I was watching, they were talking about the last time it happened was 98 with, can you name him? He was a huge draft bust, San Diego Chargers.
Ryan Leaf?
Correct. Look at you.
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
I'm proud of you. But yeah, that was I mean, what did you expect? I still think they had more yards of offense in the first quarter than the Eagles did. So
Oh, they did. It was for that. So we can get right into that. Our the lovely Eagles. It's weird, you know. Once again, we watched a game where the Eagles played like dog shit, and yet somehow, some way, they still could have won the game. Like it boggles the mind. Boggles the mind. Although credit to the defense. The defense played probably their best game all year. Like Russ was under duress the whole time. He didn't play his best game, but he hit, you know, when he needed to.
Yeah, I was very impressed with the defense.
And
Really,
I still love Slay. I think he battled, but you know, when all they do is throw to Metcalf on slants, like what are you gonna do?
That's tough. There was a couple balls there that he played incredible defense and he still caught it. Like, what do you do? The guy's amazing.
Yeah, the one he caught on the sideline where like Slay literally you couldn't have played it any better than Slay did, and and Metcalf caught it like on his shoulder. Like what is this like?
Yeah, like the first big play catch he had, it was like they talked about Slay playing the hands. You know, he didn't really look for the ball that much, and he still caught it. And then the next, it's like same exact play. He decides to try to turn back, get the ball, and still didn't work. Like the guy was always on him. He was white on rice on him, but it's just Metcalf was better. He just went up and got the ball.
My 3 takeaways from that game were, the defense was good. Wentz still is I don't know what he's just, something is wrong with him. He just doesn't know what I think the team on offense doesn't know what they want to do. Like one week they're like, oh, we're going to roll him out and get him on the run. And then he did it like twice on Monday night. And then Miles Sanders touched the ball, 6 times? It's like, he's your best offensive weapon. Why are you not giving him the ball against one of the worst defenses in the NFL right now? Like,
yeah, it's painful. I mean, it's just, they don't look like, well, look at the mistakes they're making. There was obviously the interception where, I don't know if Wentz thought he was going the wrong way or went the wrong way. Something was wrong. That was bad.
I was confused.
That play, what was it? Oh, when Adam sacked Wentz, when all your line is running to block for a screen and Boston Scott is nowhere to be found. Like, he's just out there trying to pass protect. Like, what is going on? Why is your offensive line out there blocking for a screen pass and your running back isn't going out for a pass? Like, what again is wrong there? Like, you're seeing just miscommunications and not understanding what the play is, like, constantly throughout the game. And it drives you nuts.
But it's like the team is just bad across the board. Like, sure, Wentz plays really poorly, but it's like the coaching is poor. The
Yeah.
receivers aren't getting separation. The line isn't blocking. That was one of the worst games I've ever seen from this line. Like, I get it. There's
Oh
injuries.
yeah.
There's players on the line who shouldn't even be in the lineup. That's how bad our injuries are. But, like, that was pitiful. Like, Wentz had, like, he would get the hike. Like, they would snap it, and, like, they would already be on him. Like, he had no time to throw.
Yeah. I wanted to say, because I was biting my tongue on this because I've just been stewing on it all week. Just like with Doug, like I'm not asking for too much. Like I just don't understand the ridiculous decisions he makes. First
Yeah.
ridiculous decision, and all three of these I think cost you any realistic chance of competing in that game or winning the game. One, the challenge. I don't understand what you were looking at. That was so obvious. Like I watched that replay, I didn't even have a shadow of a doubt that this might be overturned. And he went ahead and wasted our second timeout of the second half on a challenge that everyone knew wasn't going to win. Like what replay are you watching that I'm not? Like these decisions just don't, like, they seem like I'm like overthinking them. Like this is so obviously not, not an incompletion or a fumble or whatever the hell Doug thinks it is. What are you challenging? The
Yeah.
other two, going forward on fourth down both times was idiotic. Did not like it at midfield. I thought that was a complete stretch. And then to choose to turn down the field goal to go for it when you're in the red zone there, to go for the touchdown when you're down a touchdown and a field goal was just dumb. Like that makes no sense. Your defense is playing so well. You don't need to go for it on fourth down on either of those moments. And they both killed you. They were both brutal. I don't think the offense hasn't set the bar high. The Giants and Browns the last 2 weeks were some of the worst offensive football I've seen in years. But I actually thought there were glimpses of hope, and they looked better than they had the last couple of weeks. I thought the hurry up, even though it was the most slow, painful, unorganized hurry up offense I've seen, they actually worked. It was working. Like I said, the bar wasn't set high after the last couple of weeks, but I thought they showed glimpses of positive plays against Seattle. Does it help that they're playing against arguably one of the worst defenses in NFL history? Well, yeah, probably. But, pick and choose your battles. And to go for it on those 2 fourth downs is just showing, like, I don't know, like you're killing the momentum your offense is building, and you're showing no faith in your defense, who has proven to show that they deserve a chance to win you the game and stop Seattle. And I didn't understand either this is completely obvious not to do any of them, and he went and did both of them, all three, and none of them made sense to me.
Yeah, look, a coach has to deal with like the roster he's presented and the injuries that occur, but like this is his worst year I've ever seen. Like it's just the play calling is so predictable, and it's just so boring. Like this team used to be so explosive, so exciting. It's like, oh, Jalen Hurts is in. Oh, I guess it's going to be an option. Oh, Jalen Hurts is going to keep the ball. Oh, Wentz is in shotgun formation. Oh, he's going to throw a out route to Sanders or whatever, or a dump pass to a tight end. Like,
yeah, Jalen Hurts is, again, what are we waiting for? Again, this looks like a horrible pick because they still don't know how to use them. They don't know what they're doing with them. And, all these first-team reps he got in practice, it showed when he went out there and they false start the entire offensive line. Sounds like they've been practicing a lot, and they couldn't even pick up on his cadence.
Yeah, no.
That was bad. It's just – like the Jalen Hurts thing is just a no-win situation because, one, the team sucks. I don't think he's going to succeed when he goes out there. I don't think you will see anything better than what you're seeing from Wentz now out of Hurts. And two, unfortunately, you have to see what you have in Hurts because you wasted a second-round pick on him, and you're going to have a very high draft pick this year. And Wentz looks awful. He looks worse than he's ever looked. So you need to decide if you need a new quarterback. And you're just in this tough spot where – I would like to see Wentz still out there. I haven't given up faith on him. I think it's a lot to do with horrible coaching and a horrible team around him. But, you got to see what you have in him because you put a second-round pick in Hurts, and you have no idea what you're doing. It drives me insane that I'm watching other teams. I watched Cole Beasley throw a beautiful pass for the Bills, and I believe it was for a touchdown this past week. I've seen Julian Edelman do it for years. They run exciting. Yeah, Jarvis Landry does. They run exciting, creative, and complex plays, and take advantage of like two players on the field that can throw the ball. We wasted a second-round pick on a quarterback to throw the ball and do these special plays, and we still don't do them. We're not nearly special. Cole Beasley runs more exciting plays. Julian Edelman's been doing it for years, but we can't do it on a quarterback that we drafted in the second round. Blows my mind.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell, especially when rumors come out and like leaked information and stuff. But because they're never going to admit to anything. But there's been this stuff going around today that apparently the scout team that scouts the players, preps for trades, free agents, draftees, whatever. Uh, they wanted, when the Eagles were on the clock, to take Justin Jefferson, and Howie's wanted to take Rager. And then apparently in the second round, they wanted to take Jeremy Chin, the safety who's with the Panthers, and Howie wanted to take Hurts. So, and again, like I don't know if we talked about this earlier, but I'm worried that if someone's getting fired, I worry it's going to be Doug, because I think Howie and Jeff Lurie are too attached.
So
But
yeah,
I hope I'm wrong. I'm at the point where I want Howie gone. He's great. He did some great negotiations and trades and signing some good players for us when we went on our runs, but his drafting has been abysmal, and they need a change. They need someone has to go, and I don't think Doug needs one more year, but something has to change.
listen, I agree with you. I wanted to get into the stuff that made me mad about Doug first, because I am actually on the same page with you. After this week, I have no reason to keep Howie. I've been saying, maybe bringing a guy to be in that Joe Douglas role. This team sucks. There's no good players, and there are two eye-opening things. When I was watching that game, that really put the pressure on Howie in my mind. One is just watch one of the worst performances I've ever seen by an offensive lineman. Just the constant, his inability to just block anyone. He was constantly staring, but turning around, watching Wentz get killed by whoever attempting the block. He played awful that entire game. He's a horrible option at guard. Now, take me back to the summer when Burrow hurt. What was the Eagles' main plan? Was to put Jason Peters at guard and to start the season that way. And after watching him at guard, that is a horrible, horrible, horrible idea they had. And, Dillard eventually got hurt, and you had to put Peters left tackle, and he looked awful there too. But, man, him at guard, that was some of the worst blocking football I've ever seen as an offensive lineman.
It's such a shame, too, because he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best linemen he's probably the best Eagles lineman, and Eagles have some really good offensive linemen, but he is not even starting caliber worthy anymore.
It just blows my mind to think that was the preseason plan, was to put him at guard. Are you kidding me? Did you even
Brooks
try
went
to
down,
guard? Well, yeah, and I know it was an injury, but listen, it was early enough in the offseason. I think it was July. I could be wrong, but I believe it was in July when Brooks went down. I don't think you could have definitely come up with some better option than what I saw from Jason Peters playing his first game of his life at guard.
But that ties into and I don't want to spend too much time on the Eagles, but that ties into how I feel about Wentz is kind of like you were saying, I'm not giving up on him. I think everything.
Wentz, you can't. You have a choice. You can't.
My biggest concerns are, I don't know. He needs to be coached up by someone who actually knows how to can just be one-on-one with him, because I know his reads are really bad right now. There's always one wide open receiver every drive, and it's mind-boggling how he misses them.
Well, he's 6 different senior offense coordinators and passing assistants telling him different things.
Yeah. I don't know. If I was a player and my coach was saying he needed to simplify things for me, I would take that personally. What do you mean that you I can do this? What are you talking about? But he needs he just needs help coaching. These are all fixable mistakes for Wentz, but
I agree.
You can't just fix this roster in an
This is what I mean. Wentz's accuracy on against Seattle, especially down deep balls, was awful.
Yeah.
Luckily, you got a pass interference out of it on one of them, but he's so far underthrew one guy. Or I believe it was Goddard on the pass interference.
Mm-hmm.
He was 4 yards underthrown. Luckily, Goddard could go back enough to make a PI out of it. Yeah. But it was just every deep ball. He's just completely inaccurate on it. And the inaccuracies worry me. But the athleticism, he was running around a lot more. He tucked it and kind of ran. And, he's just plays on himself. The athleticism, the arm strength is still there.
He's a tough guy. He's a competitor. I mean, there was one run where he took up the middle and took a hit from a linebacker and stood him up.
Yeah. Listen, I liked the hurry up, the no huddle. It wasn't very fast, and they looked very unorganized when they were doing it. But they made some things happen, and I thought Wentz getting involved in the running game helped a lot, and something was looking better than what I've been seeing. So it's something you can build off of.
I would have preferred if when Hurts was in that they would have given him the drive. Like this,
Well,
I can't imagine this is good for continuity. And like that's what I was going to say with Wentz also is like part of the coaching is also part of having players healthy for him. Like if he had his starting lineup as projected, like Brooks, Lane was healthy. I don't remember the tackle's name because he hasn't even touched the field. The guy we drafted in the first round 2 years ago, I think.
oh, Dillard.
Dillard, yeah. Like if they were all playing, I think he would play better because there's continuity helps a lot. So
Well, yeah, being able to block also helps a lot.
Yeah,
We aren't able to do that.
So I don't know. I don't know what it is, but that's my piece on
my last thing I want to get on, and this comes back on Howie, is, and if I'm right now to fix this team, there's a whole bunch of problems. But one, you mentioned when we were talking during the game, you're like, we need to get younger and get new players. And I agree with you. And the problem, and this is why Howie has to go, because I have zero faith that he is the guy that's going to help us. I agree. This whole team needs to be gutted, and they need new players in immediately. But I have zero faith in Howie Roseman to pick good players. So I don't want to waste my time by letting them fail a couple times, a couple drafts when we need to get younger immediately. But the other thing is, I almost feel like they're making Doug play some of these horrendous signings and decisions Howie's made. My point, I saw a tweet from Parks. Travis Fulgham played 52% of the snaps. Alshon Jeffrey played 49% of the snaps. Are you kidding me? Alshon Jeffrey is not going to be on this team next year. He looks so bad, and he's a horrible sign, a horrible re-sign that Howie should have never made. Just get him off the field. I would be perfectly fine if they just inactivated him and lose the season.
I told
Jason
you
Peters, you go back.
Howie was like, don't let Fulgham play. We need to re-sign him next year.
Well, listen, if Jeffrey can catch a couple balls a game, I'll look less than like an idiot, so I might save my job for making that signing. Look at the Jace Peters thing. First, we begged for Mailata to play, and they continue to roll out Peters. I mean, then the Lane thing happened, and they had to put him in guard. I guarantee you Jason Peters stays out there at guard this week. Just so again, because Howie, again, you look like an idiot. For one, like I said, your plan going into the season was Peters at guard. And then Dillard got hurt, and then you got schooled by Jason Peters into giving him more money to play inept at left tackle. The guy sucks. Did you make sure he had anything left before you gave him more money? Like, these signings are terrible, and I think that they're making Doug play them so Howie doesn't look like a complete idiot. But we all know that they're horrendous signings.
Yeah, PFF had
the other thing that's going to kill you with Howie is
go ahead.
Dramatic pause. I thought PFF had what?
Well,
I was on the edge of my seat waiting for you.
You would just keep going. All right. Well, PFF rated Jordan Mailata.
You got to learn. Listen, when I cut you off, I just need to learn that when you cut me off, just keep going. I like you. You're getting aggressive. I appreciate that.
I'm not as rude, so I usually
fair enough.
Let it go. But yeah, PFF, Pro Football Focus, had Jordan Mailata as an 83.2 grade on Monday night. His best ever as a pro, and was second best for Week 12. So he's been, I think he had one or two rough games, but he's played at a starter caliber level, I think, when asked to do so.
I agree. I think he's been playing well. But here's the other thing. Your team's 3-8-1. Why are you playing anyone that isn't
3-7-1?
Or 3-7, I apologize. Why are you playing anyone that isn't a young player that could actually be something you can build around in the future? Your team sucks now. You have nothing really to play for. Your team's awful. So just get the veterans out of the way. Let the young guys play. Here's the real other thing is next year, according to Over the Cap, we are $65 million over the cap. Mm-hmm. So you're telling me that being $65 million over the cap gets you a 3-7-1 team? Like, is this kidding? Like, are we serious? Like, this team sucks, and you're over the cap. You have no money, and you signed all these guys, and they're terrible. Just look at the free agents. Malik Jackson, horrible. Hargrave, he played a little bit better against Seattle, so I'll still hold out hope, but I haven't seen it. Roby Coleman actually, I think, had his best game this past week.
He played really well.
Yeah, but he still
shut down Lockett.
Listen, he needs at least 6 more of those games to make him worth the money. He's been so brutal the first half of the season. Look at the horrible signings from last year, the Scandricks, the Sack Brown. Deshaun Jackson is looking like Andrew Bynum at this point. He's going to collect a ton of money to not play at all. You want to get into the drafts? Go pick your choice of drafts. Jalen Hurts is going to rival J.J. White says the worst second-round pick in NFL history, I think. There's just a laundry list of horrible decisions that Howie's made. And I think these injuries are really showing how weak your roster is. But you know what? we won a Super Bowl with a lot of injuries because that team was built deep and they had depth and they had some good players. This team is terrible, and the injuries are showing you more. But even if the team was healthy, what are we? Maybe 3 or 4. 3 wins, maybe more. They're not. There's just so many problems with this team. You need to start over. You need to get rid of a lot of guys and bring in young guys. And I don't think Howie has shown you at all that in the last couple of years that he's able of doing that. Fire every offense assistant, fire every passing coordinator, fire them all, get rid of Howie, and start over. I'll give Doug a second chance because I think this is more of a terrible roster. And like you said, Laurie and Howie have a close relationship. And I think that Doug is being forced to play some of these horrific Howie decisions and it's really hurting his ability to win. Don't get me wrong, Doug has coached awful. And I brought up those 3 horrific decisions during that Seattle game that really killed you. But Doug's got to fire Howie. That lights the fire under Doug. I think that lets him know that you are next if you don't pull this away. But I'd give Doug one more year. Howie, I can't justify bringing him back one more year. Name me a good decision that he's made in the last 2 seasons.
I don't really have any. But also, why was Will Parks released the other day? Why was Will Parks, who was playing pretty fairly well at safety, released, but Marcus Epps is still on this team?
I said I don't know. Because Howie Roseman's making decisions. That's all I can tell you. I don't know.
All right. Studs and duds.
Yeah, I just pissed me off. This team's just a disaster.
Are there any Eagles on the duds list?
No. Like I said, this was a strong duds week. This was easily the toughest one, but
let's start with the duds then.
I could have gone many ways on the Eagles. Jason Peters, as long as he started, I can put him as a permanent fixture on the dud list. It doesn't really matter what position.
He'll just be the honorable mention every week.
Yeah, trust me, he earns it. And the guard position was just – it's just disgust me to think that was the offseason plan after Brooks got hurt.
No.
Did you even think if he was a good guard? Did you even see him? Did you try practicing there? He looked terrible. I think Opeka would be better, and he's been brutal.
You and I might be able to do a little more, Just stand there, take a hit.
That's all you got to do. Jason Peters gets away with it.
He couldn't even block Jamal Adams.
Yeah. It's just it's tough, but we'll leave him be.
Okay. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. All right, so we're to the duds. We'll start with the duds because it was a strong week for duds this week. So my third dud of the game or the week. And now that I know that you try to follow along and take your guess, I'm going to be a little more difficult with you this time around.
Okay.
So third dud, first round running back. Not this past draft, but he's first round running back.
Okay.
He was born 4 days after me, birthday wise. So give it away a little bit.
So he's a July baby.
He is a July baby. Wow, look at you knowing my birthday.
Look at that.
That's very nice. He's a 3-time Pro Bowl selection. Unless something dramatic happens, I don't see him making the Pro Bowl this year.
Okay.
He is a player that, you know what? Maybe Dak's agents should talk to his agent because he held out and he put the pressure on Jerry and he got his contract where Dak's still waiting. So third dud is going to go Mr. Ezekiel Elliott, who not only laid an egg on national TV, but laid an egg on Thanksgiving.
You had me at former first-round pick running back, and I was like, well, it's got to be Zeke.
Oh, okay. Look at you. Yeah, 10 carries, 32 yards. He had a fumble. Pretty bad.
And we talk about Miles Sanders fumbles, and Zeke's been worse.
Yeah, well, to Zeke's credit, he gets the ball a lot more than Sanders. Sanders doesn't touch the ball nearly enough to be fumbling as much as he does. But here's the real kicker why, because you know what? It was actually very close between another first-round running back, and that was Josh Jacobs on the dud list, who also had a terrible game.
Yeah, it did not help my fantasy team.
At least the Falcons are, they're a top 6 run defense according to rush yards per, on this season. They've given up only 1,100. The Houston Texans are second last. They've given up 1,700 yards rushing. Actually, the only team they're better than is the Dallas Cowboys. And Zeke just couldn't do anything. I know that offensive line's pretty brutal, but man, if you watch that game on Thanksgiving, he was just inept. The whole Cowboys offense was really just inept. They looked really bad against a team that isn't very good. He couldn't do anything. Your superstar should be able to do more than that. 3.2 yards a carry and a fumble that really hurt you. Really, really poor showing, especially because I thought they moved the ball decent passing. Just they couldn't run the ball at all. And for the amount of money he's getting, you need to see better performances out of him. So the third stud is going to be Zeke this week.
And not to get too far off topic, but Washington is slowly building up to be like story of the year. Like watch Alex Smith come back in his comeback year, lead the Redskins or lead Washington to the NFC East title, because Giants just lost their quarterback for a couple weeks, maybe a game or two, and Dallas is just a clusterfuck, and the Eagles don't know what they want to do. So it's literally up for grabs. And like I think their defense is actually pretty decent. And they have some nice, like McLaurin's really nice. They got some decent pieces of running back. So we'll see what they do.
They're my pick to win the NFC East.
Yeah.
So, all right, on to the next one. Second dud. So our second dud is a former first overall pick quarterback.
Okay.
Former Super Bowl quarterback.
Jared
Super
Goff.
Bowl appearance. Well, I haven't given you the kicker, the giveaway hint. His middle name is Thomas.
Jared Thomas.
See, look at you. We talked about this. This actually, when we had the little, we were talking before we started this kind of changed my list around because I didn't realize how bad he actually played. But, brutal game. The second dud of the week is going to be Jared Goff, who went 19 for 31. Not pretty. 2 interceptions, 198 yards, and 0 touchdowns. Really, really rough game. I know, to talk about the game a little bit, I think I watched now. I gave more credit to the Niners. I actually thought the Niners played a very great game. The Niners might be the best coached team on both sides.
I was going to say they're well coached, yeah.
Like between Shanahan, who I've always thought is a very good coach, and Saleh for what he's doing with all those injuries, that defense played really well. They were harassing Goff. They made it very difficult on him. The Niners, I don't think, are out of it. They're getting some guys back. Mostert and Sherman came back this week, and Sherman had a pick. Mostert had a touchdown. He also fumbled the ball. But their players are coming back. They're making, they need a couple more guys in there. The division's tough, but I could see them sneaking in the wild card if they can keep rolling a little bit here. But their defense was swarming. They really gave Goff problems. I think the Rams should be worried because, Goff has been hearing it for his entire career that he's a system quarterback. I've mentioned that their system relies on a running back. I remember when Fournette got released, and I said they really needed a guy that can go, build off that play action. And the run game's been very disappointing for the Rams. I don't think Cam Akers has taken the leap that everyone expected, and it's really hurt Goff. And they got plenty of talent on that wide receiver core, and they paid a lot of money to their wide receivers. And Goff is really struggling to get them the ball. He's really struggling to make plays. He's really struggling to make things work without that dynamic running game that we saw when Todd Gurley was still in his prime. And that was when the offense was really hitting. Jared Goff has not proven to be a quarterback that can handle the offense. Like, is he in that Ryan Tannehill, Kirk Cousins range who leans on a strong running game and needs a strong running game to really succeed because he's not going to be able to make all the plays himself? If so, then the Rams are in trouble because I think they have a defense that is ready to compete for Super Bowl. But it all comes down to Goff, and that's not a good game from him, and that should be something that worries the Rams. And they were on a hot streak. We had them in our rankings pretty high.
Yeah.
And if he cannot put it together and is continuing to struggle, they're going to be in trouble. I think that's a glaring problem for them.
Every time we praise them on this podcast, they disappoint us. So
yeah.
Now we'll talk.
It's actually funny.
Win the next game.
Funny, my next first dud, and talk about someone we praised and then they just went out. Yeah, man, we go out. I've been shitting on this guy for years. Like, I've been so hard on him forever. Constantly said that after that Khalil Mack and Cooper trade, that Gruden should have used those picks to get a new quarterback. And finally, last week, I give him a break and talk about how great he's been doing. Mm-hmm. And my God, does he go out and suck against the Atlanta Falcons? Like, this is not a strong defense. They just killed you. You put up, what was it, 6 points? I think it was 6 or 3 they ended up getting.
I think it was 6.
Yeah, I believe it was 6. It's like 43-6. Like, you got shellacked by the Falcons, a laughingstock, the Falcons.
Falcons kicker kicked 5 field goals.
They're like, what blew me away is watching Derek Carr. Like, he just looks so uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. He had 2 fumbles. this is the Falcons. This isn't some dynamic pass rush we're talking about.
Yeah.
He had 2 fumbles himself. He threw, and this was the turning point of the game. It was early third quarter. The Falcons are winning 16-3, and Derek Carr goes out there and throws a pick six, and now you're down 23-3, and that the game pretty much just blew open after that.
Yeah,
man, he was so bad. I won't put it away. Let me pull up the stats so I can really talk about how bad he was. So he's 22 of 34, had 215 yards, 215 repping.
215.
He had the pick six, as I mentioned, 2 fumbles. Just a brutal performance. Nate Peterson came in for a cup of coffee, threw a couple balls. That's how bad he was doing. He just looked like he was terrified all game. Like, I don't understand when the Falcons got this incredible pass rush that it just made Derek Carr soil himself every time he dropped back to throw the ball. But they were all over him. He didn't know what he was doing. Very, very poor performance. I already mentioned how Jacobs was an honorable mention. The Raiders just completely lost. I would want to make the Raiders my dud of the week, just them in general. You could talk about the Falcons putting up 43 against your defense. You could talk about your offense only putting up 6 points against their defense. Really a terrible game for them. And I can't believe how much praise I gave Derek Carr after bashing him for years, and he goes out and just lays an egg like that.
Yeah, the Raiders might be one of the most confusing teams I've watched in a while. Like, some games they look amazing. Like, they put both times they played the Chiefs this year, they literally took them down to the wire, and now they just got blown out by the Falcons. So
yeah, that was ugly. And again, I mean, I'm more worried about Jared Goff if on the Rams than the Raiders are with Carr, but this is not something you want to see. This is because, listen, he's been good, and I gave him praise last week, but he still had that same moniker that he's, game manager or not capable of taking over the game himself. I never really thought he was an elite level quarterback. But you know what? For 2 teams that are going to be fighting for playoff spots, 2 bad performances from their quarterbacks that they don't want to see. That is, if I'm either of those coaching staffs, I'm very worried.
Yeah.
Those are the duds. Like I said, it was a strong week. I mean, you could have put any Eagle you wanted on there. You could have put Trubisky on there.
That game was brutal.
Listen, I said any week that Brady gives me a reason to put him on the dud list, I will. I thought about it, but there was too strong of cases from other people to put him on again, so he was left alone. On to the happier thoughts.
All right.
So
studs.
Third stud we're going to go with guy who tore it up on a national game. Okay. His middle name is Zacharias, which I actually found out today when I was looking around at some things. He is, you can argue, Jalen Hurts is looking pretty strong as a reason to really hate Howie, but this will ultimately be, I think, the reason I hate Howie the most. We're going to go with the guy who just went and torched one of the best corners in the league all game, and that's going to be big boy DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
10 receptions, 177 yards. That's just abusive. He was having his way, and it just amazes me how incredible he was playing. Like, there were times Russell Wilson, the one play, I swear, he just chucked the ball with someone in front of his face about to lay him off. He's like, I'm just going to throw it. I think DK might be there, and he was, and he caught it. Incredible.
Yeah, the worst part of that was after the game, we heard about how him and Jim Schwartz had a conversation before the game.
Yeah, Calvin Johnson.
Jim Schwartz was the head coach for the Lions, and Calvin Johnson was there. And he was like, Calvin's a good friend of mine and one of the best players I ever coached. And, you're a great player. And, you're not quite at Megatron's level, but you're getting there. And apparently, DK thought that was an insult. And it's like, I took that personally, and I thought about it the entire game. And he just destroyed the Eagles because of that. But yeah, I'm just blown away by. I mean, I remember watching the combine, and like you look at it, you're like, this guy can't be real. Like, his size and speed don't make sense. And then you watch it on the field, and like, Slay's a pretty quick corner, and Slay was getting burnt. Like,
yeah,
I was like, Jesus, like, he's gonna be trouble, and like him and Russ are just gonna be a force. I think Ramsey was the only one to shut him down this year, but I think Metcalf leads the league in receiving yards, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you are right about that. Oh, you know what? And that was something I forgot to mention on the Niners-Rams game. I don't know if you watched the end. The field goal to win the game for the Niners, 47-yard attempt. and Jalen Ramsey of all people jumps off sides. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. I guess you're trying to block it. Maybe you try to guess the single and block it, but 47 yarder is still like a pretty decently long field goal, like a decently long field goal where you would like him to miss it so you can win the game or tie it or whatever it was. Like, how could you give him an opportunity to make it easier? Like, that's brutal. That was a tough play at the end of the game by your superstar, which cannot be excused.
Yeah, DK is one of 2 players over 1,000 yards this season. He's number 1. Number 2 guy, I think, is somebody who's probably going to be on this stud list. Number 3 is Travis Kelce has almost 1,000 receiving yards too. DeAndre Hopkins is 967, and then Terry McLaurin. Like I said, he's probably one of the most underrated receivers in the league with Washington. He's 5th in receiving yards. So,
yeah, going along with, I mean, Metcalf had an own game, but the next 2 studs ahead of him, it wasn't even close. Like there was a very strong week for them too. This was very tough between the 2 of them, but I did split it. So the next guy we're going to go with, another former. I apologize, he wasn't a first-round running back. He is a running back. Former Bama boy.
Bama.
Nick Saban, guys, because they just breed running backs there.
Roll Tide.
Nickname of Lamar, which I didn't know. So he's got that going for him. A menacing man. He was born January 4th, so he's got a birthday coming up very soon. So happy early birthday to him. Yeah, that's what I do. But he just absolutely dominated. 27 attempts, 178 yards, 3 touchdowns against arguably one of the best defenses in football. Yeah. And I got to say, I was watching the game, and they showed a stat, and this was like halftime, I want to say it was. And they showed the running backs with the highest amount of yards per game by the Colts, or against the Colts this season. Mm-hmm. The 2 highest yardage games this season are both from Derrick Henry. It was the game they played, I don't remember what week earlier in the season, and then the first half of this past game. The guy broke his own, like he had the most rushing yards, more than anyone else allowed by the Colts by halftime. Unreal. Derrick Henry's the second stud. He's been on the stud list a couple times, I think, this year. He's just absolutely a monster. The Titans had a really impressive game. They just schwacked a very good defense. A.J. Brown was impressive. Derrick Henry was unstoppable. Tannehill did his usual thing that he has to do. Just don't break anything. Manage a game. Let your superstars go. Very impressive. I mean, we'll get to the power rankings. We can talk more about that team in general. But extremely impressive game by Derrick Henry. He's just a beast. It's amazing how he plays and how he just continues to keep going.
Yeah, when we did our running back rankings over the summer, I think Henry was the consensus 4th best behind Saquon, Zeke, and McCaffrey. But honestly, I think that just seems kind of disrespectful the way he's been playing. I didn't think he was going to be able to do this again this year. And
it's amazing.
Destroying. He's leading the league in rushing. It's like him and Cook, I think, are – let me double check.
He's the best.
He has 1,200 rushing yards already.
Like, he's the best running back in football. You could make an argument if you want for McCaffrey, Cook, or Camaro, but it's not because of running the ball. It's because they do more in the passing game. When you're talking about
the best pure running back,
it is Derrick Henry, and it's not close.
I agree.
He is just amazing. Like it's incredible what they're doing. The fact that he resurrected Tannehill's career this much is amazing itself. It's just different in a league that you see everyone going to pass. Having someone like Derrick Henry, you don't need a passing game. He's explosive. He does everything.
He kind of reminds me of like a Sean Alexander in his prime, where you knew like that was the best player on the team, and that's the guy they were going to go to like every time. Yeah, I don't think Matt Hasselbeck had anyone to throw to in Seattle. So
it was just good defense in Sean Alexander.
Yeah, so like, and he got the rock a lot, and like Derrick Henry gets the ball a lot, and he still pounds his way through, carries players. You know, he's a monster.
He is amazing. He's unstoppable. His stat line is just unreal. The 3 touchdowns. I don't know if I remember how much yardage he actually had.
Like 178 or something.
Yeah, 178 yards. He beat Metcalf by a yard, like
on the ground.
Yeah, I know. That's insane. And he did on 27 carries, like unreal, but incredible. Like I said, he's been on this list before, so I don't need to talk him up as much as as I have. On to the number one stud this week. This guy. All right, so I'll make it a little tougher on you because that was easy on the other ones.
I know who it is, but you can go ahead.
He is an alumni of 3 different colleges: Garden City Community College, Oklahoma State University, and the University of West Alabama. I say alumni, but I'm almost positive he didn't graduate from any of those schools. 5th round pick, just an absolute blur on the field.
The cheetah?
He had 203 or 205. I think it was 203 yards in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
The first 15 minutes of the game.
Unreal. 203 yards in the first quarter. Like that is an unworldly performance in an entire game.
I don't think I've ever seen it before.
I've never seen that. Like
Not from a skill player.
I think I'd remember 200 yards in a quarter before. He's just unstoppable. He finished with 13 receptions, 269 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
He's
like, jeez, like I don't know. I know he's really good, but at some point you got to come up with a different strategy.
At some point you got to cover him.
Yeah, like do something. I don't know. Just press him and then triple covered. I don't start penalizing him. Maybe they don't call it. You get lucky. Really tough. He just was unstoppable. But yeah, 269, 3 touchdowns, 200 in the first quarter. I don't have to say him too much. He's just a speed demon. And Tyreek Hill, is the lucky stud number 1. I just was blown away completely by his performance.
Yeah, it's like I said when I was reading off the like what a blessing of an offense to have when Pat Mahomes leads the league in passing yards, and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce are the 2 and 3 top receivers in the league as far as yardage. Like they can't be stopped. That's why we have them as our number 1 every week in our power rankings, because they're that good. Like,
yeah, they might even be better this year than they were last year.
Yeah,
like they're
running back's an upgrade. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon Bell was better than what they had last year. So,
I just think realistically, there's not many offenses that you can realistically say can score the ball and score a touchdown whenever they touch the ball. The Chiefs, I'd be surprised or shocked when they don't score.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how it plays out, but right now it looks like Andy Reid's going to have a better coaching career as a Chief than he did as an Eagle.
I mean,
I don't know.
You can make an argument that he already is now, depending on how much you care about Super Bowls.
No, I think Super Bowl is important, but I mean, he took the Eagles to 4 straight NFC Championship games, and they were NFC East winners numerous years in a row. But
I mean, you could just say
I don't think the Eagles were ever looked at as like in the early 2000s. Like they were never looked at as like this is the best team in the league every year. Like the Chiefs are looked at as the best team in the league every year. So as long as Mahomes is there and healthy.
Yeah, so it really is amazing. All right, yeah, that's what I got.
All right, so we'll roll right into our power rankings. So this week, not too much movement, but we did have a couple teams fall off and move back because of some surprising losses. But we'll start with number 10. We have the Colts. We were really high on them, especially their defense, and even Philip Rivers was playing pretty decently, and then really got smacked by Derrick Henry and the Titans.
Yeah.
And then number 9, the Rams, another team, just lost to the Niners, who are not – they're like trying to find their way team where they had a lot of injuries to overcome, but they still should have won that game. Number 8, we have the Browns. Like no one is talking about the Browns, but they're 8-3, and they have some important games coming up, but they're gonna take a spot over the Ravens because the Ravens aren't playing that great, and they've got some COVID issues and injury issues, and
the Ravens,
be Steelers and Browns down the stretch here in the NFC.
The Ravens and the Browns are very similar to each other. They play very good defense. They run the ball really well, and they're inept at throwing the ball.
Yeah, Baker's had some really.
Baker is terrible.
Yeah,
he is awful.
Number 7, we have Seattle. We talked about the Eagles a lot, but Seattle's their defense is. I mean, look, they're not good. Obviously, they almost. I think they were on pace to set the record for most passing yards allowed. But they got some players back. Like some players are starting to return from injury for them, so they'll start to improve, and that's a good time for them leading right into the playoffs. And that division has really shifted a lot because I think like 4 weeks ago, Seattle was on the decline, Arizona was rising, and they were in first place. And then like the week after that, it was like the Rams were in first place, and now Seattle's back in first, and I think that's how it's going to stay. So they'll sit there at 7, and then 6, Green Bay. I mean, I don't remember what the score was of that game against the Bears, but
That was a smackdown.
they
They
one of
do
those
it
dominant games
Yeah.
this year. So they're still there. Rodgers is still really good this year. He's still in the MVP consideration, I'd say. Bills at number 5. They're at 8-3, really having a good year. Titans at number 4. Like we said, as long as they have Derrick Henry, like sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Number 3 of the Saints, who I think people were very down on in the beginning of the year. After didn't they start 0-2 or 1-2? I think they were 1-2.
I don't know because they beat the Bucks pretty early. I think.
But Thomas,
that was week 1.
Yeah, I think that was maybe, I don't remember. But they weren't. Nobody was really feeling them early in the season. I think because Breeze wasn't playing too well and Thomas was out. But man, they look like the normal Saints now, and their defense is playing a lot stronger.
You're over here saying that no one's feeling. We both picked them to win the Super Bowl.
No. But I mean, like at like week 3 and 4, like people.
Yeah.
But so I think we had them drop out of our top 10. I think at one point. But anyways, number 2, Pittsburgh, just beat the Ravens on Wednesday. Yeah, they're the weak. I mean, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong, they're a good team, but they're like the weakest undefeated team I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree.
Their schedule's very easy. And then number 1, KC, like we said, they are very likely to repeat Super Bowl champs the way the season's going. So
they're my favorite soon. Before we get into picks, any other thoughts around the league? I did have a couple on a couple games. One, the Chargers-Buffalo game, that was a crazy finish to the game. The
1 o'clock games had a lot of crazy finishes.
Herbert, it's just like this was a rookie quarterback in front of your eyes. Hits the Hail Mary to get them on the goal line. And then I don't know what you were thinking there. I guess he audibled to a quarterback draw that was so sneaky that his offensive lineman didn't even know he was doing it. As they're all standing up in pass protection, he's running right into a wall. But, you live and you learn. Going on that, I also wanted to talk about another rookie mistake. And actually, this is why I think the Niners might have a sneaky chance because I don't think Arizona's there yet. I watched
they're showing some weaknesses now.
Well, even it's like they missed the field goal on their first drive, and then the Pats go and hit a field goal after that. There was talk about a rookie mistake. Isaiah Simmons went and drilled some dude in the head on or it was on Cam. It drilled Cam in the head and gave him a brutal roughing the passer penalty or unnecessary roughness. I don't remember what they actually called. Like that was a huge rookie mistake that he can't make, but that just seems like the Cardinals to me, like missing field goals, unnecessary roughness penalties in tough situations. Like that was a close game throughout, and the penalty and the missed field goal hurt you both a lot. Like they're just not there yet. Like this team was the worst team in football 2 years ago. I don't know if this is the year. I know, like you said, that people were high on them for a couple weeks there, but I don't know if they're there. They can put it together. I think they're on their way and they have a bright future, but I'm a little hesitant after watching them this week.
Yeah, I think Kyler's starting to kind of creep into that like Lamar Jackson mold where if you take away his ability to run, he's not as much of a threat as a quarterback.
Yeah, he's not there. I mean, he's still work on it. So you see what happens.
I still really like Kyler, but
yeah. Outside that, competitive game with the Vikings and the Panthers. The Vikings are another team that could be finding their way and creep into that wild card hunt.
That Viking, I got to watch the end of the Vikings Panthers. That game was wild. You had Carolina was playing really well. I think they went down and scored. And then Vikings scored. Then Carolina literally came back down the field and scored right back with like a minute left. And the Vikings had like 30 seconds or something. And then, were able to kick a field goal. Yeah,
well, that guy, what was his name? Chad Beaver already caught the touchdown pass. It was like near the end of the game, 47 seconds. And he was like the one that muffed the punt earlier. Yep. And then you had a 54-yard field goal with 1 second left that he ended up missing. So it was a crazy game.
Even Giants-Bengals ended pretty close. Like Bengals, I think, kicked a field goal, and then we were to get a stop, got the ball back, but then they fumbled and the Giants recovered. So
Yeah. So it was a good week of football besides watching the Eagles, but that's a weekly thing. So
yeah.
that was kind of my notes of the league. I don't know if there's any other games that we missed that you wanted to talk about.
No, I mean, I brought them up right in the beginning. The Broncos, Raiders being strange, Ravens, Steelers. So yeah, I don't think there's really much else I wanted to touch on.
All right, well, let's get to picks.
All right, so we both had good weeks last week. We went 11-5, both of us.
Oh, look at us.
Because we had a couple games where I picked a winner, you picked a loser, and vice versa. So it evened out. I am 124 to 54, and you are 109 to 71. So
what the hell? What is this? You're 70 games over 500?
I'm a monster. What can I say?
That pains my ears every time I hear it every week. Fine. All right, let's get into it. What's our first game?
All right, we got a 1 o'clock game. Fair amount of 1 o'clock game.
Oh, yeah, we don't have a Thursday night game, do we?
We don't. Yeah, no Thursday night game.
It's the Baltimore, yeah.
Yeah, so we got New Orleans at Atlanta. Honestly, it looks like Raheem Morris might end up keeping that job in Atlanta as a head coach.
I kind of like that. I actually thought, because remember when Raheem Morris got hired as Tampa Bay head coach, and he was like the youngest head coach ever in the NFL? Mm-hmm. I'm kind of surprised he never got another chance. I know he did not do a good job with the Bucs, but guy was still young.
I like to see him get a shot. I think he's a good coach.
Yeah, I think. Listen, if the Falcons should be happy they fired Dan Quinn in the middle of the season, because if they put a couple of wins together like they did last year, I think Dan Quinn probably keeps his job again. So yeah, I'm glad they put their fans out of misery and got rid of him halfway through the season. But I'm going to take the Saints. We already talked enough about them.
Yeah, I'm taking the Saints too. Next game is Detroit at Chicago. 1 o'clock game. Chicago. See, remember when they were 5-1? And I said all they have to do really is win like 3 more games, and they'll probably have that 7th seed in the NFC. They might not even get another win. They've lost 6 or 7 straight. And I think they're going to lose another. I think the Lions will rebound, get a win here.
Yeah, I think, obviously the Lions fired their coach and general manager this week, which I was actually giving some kind of consideration for the stud list to Sheila Hamp-Ford, the owner, because let's be honest, the Lions have been rebuilding, I think, for the last 50 years, and their ownership has been non-existent. And I wouldn't have been surprised. Patricia should have been fired last year, but I don't think anyone pays attention to the Lions from that ownership group. I know she's the daughter of Martha Ford, who recently said they're going to take a step back. So, listen, Detroit, if you have an owner that cares, that's a big win, because I don't think you've had one for at least a decade, or at least as long as I can remember.
I don't remember the dollar amount or the number of people, but after Houston smacked Detroit and then Patricia was fired, Deshaun Watson's donation is like fundraiser or whatever he has received like thousands of donations from people in Detroit. So they're like, thanks for destroying our team so we could fire our coach. Here's some donations to your charity.
Listen, they should have fired Patricia and what's the guy's name? Quinn, the GM? I think.
Yeah, he was fired too.
They should have fired him last year. You could have made, he did absolutely nothing to keep his job. But again, I don't think the ownership group of the Lions have been awake or paying attention for years. So, hey, listen, you're getting a new coach, new GM, and you maybe have an owner that cares. So that's something to win about. I agree with you. Matt Nagy will get fired this year, but they haven't fired him yet. I'm going to think the Lions are going to use the excitement of having their coach fired to win a game. So in a game of coaches on hot seats or getting fired, I think the Lions win.
Yeah, not to stick too much to these two teams, but Matt Nagy and was it Ryan Pace, the GM? I think like 2 years ago they were in discussion for like Coach of the Year and GM of the Year, and now they're on the verge of getting fired. Crazy how the NFL changes like that.
That's how the NFL goes, right?
All right, next game is Cleveland at Tennessee. This is a very important game for the Browns. If the Browns can beat the Titans, then the Browns will cement themselves as like a good team.
Yeah.
They've beaten a couple bad opponents recently, but
Baker looks really bad. From the last 2 games I saw him this week against Jaguars they played, and then that Eagles game he looked awful. That's something to be concerned about. I think they're both going to run the ball a ton, like we talked about with Henry. I just think Tannehill's more capable and able and will do a little bit more than Baker will, and the Titans win.
I'm gonna do the reverse. You got Miles Garrett back. I think Cleveland's gonna run it down their throat. I think Cleveland's defense is a little stronger than Tennessee's right now.
Fair enough.
Tennessee's got they have good players in place, but Clowney's he's out, he's injured, so I'll take the flip. I'll take the Browns.
Fair enough.
Next game, Cincinnati at Miami, another 1:00.
Mm.
I mean, Cincinnati put up a good fight without Burrow.
Yeah, no, sure.
But Dolphins, I think they played the Jets last week. I think they'll get another win here.
Yeah, I'm taking the Dolphins. I don't really think the Bengals have any interest in winning. I think they'd rather just lose out and get Penei Sewell from Oregon to protect Burrow's blind side.
I forget I just saw like a mock, not a mock draft, but like a mock of draft standings. I think the Eagles were at 6.
I also heard that, yeah.
Which is like they could be the 6th pick of the draft, or they could be like 22 or whatever, depending on if they make the playoffs. Like, just don't make the playoffs.
You know what?
Just keep losing.
You're looking at a top 10 pick. I do not want Howie Roseman making that pick.
Yeah, but
you missed on yeah, go ahead.
We digress.
You're triggering me.
Sorry, there's so much to talk about. We're like, I think they said we're 70% through the season, so home stretch. Jacksonville at Minnesota. Give the Jags credit. They have been the last 2-3 games. It was Packers, Steelers, Browns. They've been in all those games. Yeah. I think Steelers a little bit towards the end was more of a Steelers pulled away, but they took all those teams to the fourth quarter. But Minnesota's good though. When they get Cook going, and
Minnesota needs this game.
Yeah,
they need it. The Jaguars are trying to secure their spot for Fields in the draft. The Vikings will not lose this game. They need it.
Yeah, I think they get Cook going because he had a little bit of an injury, but they said he's good to go. So I'll take Vikings.
Me too.
And then we got Raiders at the Jets. Perfect game for the Raiders to rebound. I will take the Raiders.
After killing them so much, I hate taking them, but right? I can't take the Jets. It can't happen.
Next, the last 1:00 game, we got the Colts at the Texans. I might have taken the Texans, but now that Will Fuller's out for the year, I think I'm going to ride with the Colts in a rebound.
Yeah, the Colts, they're 7-4, still in a good spot for the playoffs. They need to get right game after getting just handled. I think they beat the Texans as well.
Next game, we have Rams at the Cardinals. That's the first 4:00 game. Two teams that both need to win this. These are must wins for both these teams, I'd say.
Yeah, but like I said with the Cardinals, I don't think they're there yet. I still think they're a year away. So like I said, with some of the mistakes they made, and like you mentioned with Kyler not progressing in the passing game, as much, he's still 22, 23, so you shouldn't be worried. But they're just not there yet. I'm going to take the Rams.
All right, I was planning on taking whoever you didn't take, so I'll take the Cardinals.
Foolish thinking on your part, but I'll appreciate it.
I think I can afford a couple wild cards. I got a strong lead.
Yeah.
Another 4:00 game. We got the Giants at the Seahawks. Notice how we're taking a bit of time here to think, because the Giants are not a bad team. But
hold on. Just because I pause doesn't mean I think the Giants aren't a bad team. I definitely think the Giants are a bad team.
They're not a good team, but I wouldn't say they're bad. They got some decent pieces. But
okay, not a good team without their starting quarterback will not beat the Seahawks.
I agree. That was my point. They're not going to beat the Seahawks without
Danny
Dimes. But
who's their backup?
Colt McCoy.
Oh, you're right. You know what? I did know that. I knew that.
So you're taking Seattle?
Yeah.
I will also be taking Seattle. Next game, I can't wait. At least we get to watch the 1:00 games and then warm up to the 4:25 Eagles at Packers game.
Like I said, until they win a game, I'm not taking them. I honestly think they're going to lose 5 in a row. Well, 6, because you lost to the Giants.
I'm actually going to pick the Packers to win because I want the Packers to win.
At this point, what? I don't want to sneak in the playoffs and thinking that Howie or Doug are smarter than they actually are.
It's twofold. One, I would rather get a potential elite level star college player than take a bad injured team that doesn't make good decisions, that quarterback is not playing to his level, into a playoffs when they're not going to beat any team. Like the end goal of the playoffs is to win the Super Bowl. This team is not going to win the Super Bowl, and moral victories in the playoffs mean nothing when your draft pick it goes from top 10 to bottom 20. So
don't worry, they're not going to win this game.
Yeah, this might be. I said Seattle is going to be really close and Eagles win, or Seattle is going to blow us out in a win, but because Seattle won in a close game, but I think the Packers might blow out the Eagles. So
listen, the defense impressed me with Seattle. I could see them being competitive and forcing the Packers' hand a little bit. Getting them in tough spots.
I mean, I've been praising the Eagles defense all year. It's just Packers have more firepower than the Eagles can keep up with. So.
And when your offense goes 3 and out like 4 times in a row, eventually your defense is going to get tired. So
yeah, that doesn't help.
Yeah, we're
moving on. Next game, Patriots at the Chargers. Boy, that's interesting.
Before we pick here, I will like to mention that I picked the Patriots to beat the Cardinals last week.
You did,
and I was very smart for that. And my main reasoning was because I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but Belichick has a ridiculous record against quarterbacks under the age of 25, and I figured he was going to pull out some nonsense against Kyler Murray and play against his weaknesses. And sorry, Justin Herbert, Bill Belichick just doesn't lose to rookie quarterbacks or young quarterbacks in general, and he's not going to do it to you. So I'm going to take the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Patriots. I really wanted to root for Anthony Lynn, but the more and more I see of that team,
Anthony Lynn, he's bad coach.
I think he's going to get fired.
I'm telling you, they need to fire him because, like you said, you're going to get to that tough spot where it's going to be in like that second or third year of your rookie quarterback's development. You're not going to want to fire the good that he knows.
Yeah.
Fire him now. Bring in someone new. You already know Herbert's a stud. There's going to be a lot of coaching openings this year, I think.
I think we have 5 right now, but we'll see.
5? Maybe 3.
I thought I heard 5.
Texans, Falcons, Lions.
Texans, Falcons, Lions.
I mean, sure, yeah. Matt Nagy's a dead man walking. Anthony Lynn, I also think Adam Gase is going to get fired for sure. Doug Marrone, I expect to get fired as well. Hell, Doug might get fired. There's going to be quite a few coaching openings this year.
Well, creates for more drama on the podcast.
Yeah. That's why you probably keep Doug, because I don't want to be fighting for scraps.
I mean, I think if worst, I don't know. I think Eric Bieniemy would be between the Houston and the Eagles if Doug was fired, because then I think Doug would go to Houston if Bieniemy came to the Eagles, but I don't know. Anyways, last game of Sunday, Denver at KC. Yeah, Chiefs. I'm like, we were hoping Denver was going to be that young team that kind of surprises, but they've had injuries and some of the young players have not performed well. So
your luck has not taken the step, and I got to say, of all the rookie first-round wide receivers, well, Rager's been pretty disappointing, but Jerry Jeudy's probably been the worst out of all of them.
He hasn't. Yeah, he's been kind of quiet.
Yeah, I mean, it's not nothing really against him. You're just talking about Justin Jefferson. Ruggs has been pretty solid. CeeDee Lamb's been great, and even Ayuk has been pretty solid. I know he's been injured and the team's been injured, but you definitely expected more from Jeudy, and you're not getting it.
T. Higgins too is having a decent year.
First round wide receiver.
Oh well, yeah, I was talking about rookies, but now and then it gets interesting. So we have 2 Monday night games and a Tuesday night game. So
really,
first we have Washington at Pittsburgh at 5:00 on Monday. This could be an upset.
I know. I kind of smell it. I
know what? Too.
Listen, I'm down by a bazillion to you, so I got to start winning some. So I will take the football team.
I kind of want to take them too.
Well, fine. You go ahead, take the football team. I'll take the Steelers.
All right. All right. Let's do it. Fuck it. I'll take Washington. You can take. They're not. I don't think they're going to go undefeated, so they're going to lose eventually.
Fair enough.
And next game is Buffalo at San Francisco. That's standard 8:00 Monday Night Football. I think the Bills just keep rolling. Yeah. I know you talked up the Niners as like a playoff spot, but I don't see that.
It's a tough week for them. And the Bills are not a pushover. And I also don't think the Bills will the Niners beating the Rams, I think that puts the Bills a little bit more on notice.
Yeah.
So I'll take the Bills. The Niners, I do expect to push for that playoff spot. The Vikings and the Niners are the two teams I'd keep my eye on for that wild card spot.
Yeah, we'll have to reevaluate it next week and see. I would say probably like I mean, this is week 12. No, this is week 13. So yeah, this is when you'll start to look at the playoffs. Who's gonna be in the bubble and all that. So you're taking Bills.
Yeah, give me the Bills.
All right, and then Tuesday, Dallas at Baltimore. This could be another trap game for the Ravens. I would not be surprised if the Cowboys won, but I think the Ravens desperately need to win. So I'll take the Ravens.
Yeah, like I said when we were talking about duds, the Cowboys are the worst rushing defense in the NFL. Luckily, Lamar doesn't really know how to throw the ball very well, but he does know how to run. So I'm taking the Ravens.
And then we have Tampa Bay and Carolina on a bye. I don't think I've ever seen a Week 13 bye. It must be because of the COVID or something, but
here we are.
Here we are. All right, well, that's a wrap on Week 13's upcoming games. Any final thoughts?
Not much. My attention just the rest of the year is just going to be evaluating the Eagles as of who do I want to keep and who do I want to go. I hope they put more young guys out there. And as of right now, I'm hoping Howie gets fired and you keep Doug. But there's plenty of time left for Doug to change my mind. So,
yeah, for all the Eagles fans out there, yes, Doug has had a bad season, but
just look at the team, though.
Look at what he's been given. Look at what else is out. Like you bring in a different coach, you're taking a gamble that he might make Wentz even worse. We don't know, and this team is poorly constructed. Like it needs to be. You're going to see. I think this is going to be a big offseason. I think we could possibly see Cox, Brandon Graham, maybe Brandon Brooks, all leaving, getting cut or traded. Zach Ertz might have played his last Eagles snap this year.
Well, you're $65 million worth of cap for a 3-win team. So, yeah, that tends to happen.
I mean, Ertz is playing this Sunday. I just mean this might be his last season. But
No, I know what you mean. But, yeah, listen, no one's off the table. I mean –
yeah. Even Wentz could be traded. Who knows?
It's a mess. The thing, and my last thought on this, because I know Doug got a lot of heat, and, man, between the challenge and the 2 fourth-down conversions, I'm really mad at him too. But the twofold thing is I think that Howie is putting a lot of pressure on Doug because he knows that both their jobs are in trouble, and Howie's probably trying to save his own ass. So he's like, put Jeffrey out there so he catches a couple balls so it makes me look better. Or keep playing Peters so maybe he can eventually look a little bit better and make me look better. But also – we talked about the coaching fires. I realistically think that Houston with Deshaun Watson, the Jets assuming they get Trevor Lawrence, and the Jaguars assuming they get Justin Fields, along with the Chargers, who I think should fire Anthony Lynn, I don't know if they will, with Justin Herbert, are much better destinations as a head coach than what the Eagles are. You can make an argument that the Eagles are probably better than the train wreck that is the Detroit Lions or the Chicago Bears, who I expect to fire Nagy. You could even say about the Falcons, but I think the Falcons still have a lot of good players there. They just need a new voice, and I think Raheem Morris is doing a good job, so he probably keeps that job. There's going to be a lot of good openings with young quarterbacks and a few proven quarterbacks. I don't know if there's going to be a really great candidate that is going to want to take this Eagles job. And more importantly, they're not going to want to do it if Howie's still here, because you don't want this guy who's inept at building a roster telling you to start this guy so I don't look like a moron for signing him.
Yeah, and you know what? Now that I think about it, I think kind of under the radar thing is that Doug's whole coaching principle is kind of based on this family aspect where all the players are part of the team. All the players are an part of port. That's how every year he's able to rally the squad, and get those late playoff pushes. But I think COVID has really because practice is pretty limited and a lot of meetings are virtual. So I mean, I'm not saying this is his excuse, but I'm just saying it's definitely could be a reason for why the team kind of plays like they don't really care at times. But yeah, that's it. I don't know how it's going to be next week when we talk about the the Eagles, if they somehow win, I feel like we'll still be upset. So it's like a win. It's like a lose-lose every week.
I'm not really worried about that. I don't think we will have any issues about that.
Looking forward to a loss. What a world.
Yeah, it's great. So,
all right. Good talk.
It's been great. I'll talk to you.
I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Peace out.